Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing good. So in this particular video, we're gonna see the installation of the Active Directory, the installation of the DNS and the installation of the NTP server, as these three are the major concerns with respect to the ICE installation. Especially the NTP installation. It is mandatory that an NTP is being required while doing the installation of the identity service engine, for which the installation we're gonna take a look at further in the another video. Okay, so let's start with the installation right now. So first of all, this is the virtual machine which I have deployed. Okay, it's a Windows Server 2016. On that, we're gonna first go to some of the prerequisites are being required in order to do the installation. It's mandatory that you have to give a static IP out of your management network. Okay, otherwise your installation will never work. So as you can see as of now that also it's the best practice that you always turn off the Windows firewall. Okay, it's both the best practice as well as the mandatory situation. So I'm gonna turn off my Windows firewall so that afterwards once my lab starts running and my lab is set up, I am able to ping to different devices without any kind of issues. Okay. Second step is remote desktop. So if you have a remote server and if you want to enable the remote desktop services in order to take the RDP, you can use this particular feature. Allow the remote connections to this computer. Click on OK. Always uncheck this. Allow connections. If you are into a local network and you trust your server that it's not going to any of the remote location, if you have a local server deployment, it's a best practice to uncheck this. Otherwise, it will try to do the network level authentication in order to connect to the RDP. And sometimes this creates an issue. So I'll just apply it. Just click on that. After that, if you see the Ethernet 0, it is showing that IPv4 is being assigned by the DSCP. Okay. For any of the installation with respect to if you want to download any kind of browsers or something, you can just turn off this real-time protection and the IE internet security basically. Okay, Internet Explorer security, you can turn this off if you want to download the browsers and you don't want some certain pop-ups to be come around while doing the installation of the browsers and the other application via the web browsers. So now Ethernet 0, as you can see, assigned by the DSCP, IPv6 enabled. I'm gonna click that. Now, if you see the status right now, it has been allocated with an IP of 192.168.38.149. That means I have a DHCP network over here. When I installed my VMware Workstation Pro, I got a network 192.168.38.0/24. Okay, out of which every virtual machine, whether it's ICE, whether it's Windows Server, whether it's a Windows client, a supplicant, any of the virtual machine gonna take one of the IP through the DSCP pool. But in our case, as we need to do the Active Directory and the DNS installation, so I have to do a manual. I have to give a static IP address. So for that, I'll go into the IPv4 addresses and let's say I'm gonna give the same IP which I was allocated with the DSCP. You can choose any other IP. Let's suppose you can take 150/24. After that 192.168.38.2. So this is basically my gateway, the IP which is being allocated to the NIC adapter of my host machine. It's 192.168.38.2. Okay, after that, prefer DNS server. If you want any of the services with respect to the internet, you can go with the DNS IPs of the internet, public DNS 8.8.8.8 and the secondary DNS server as 8.8.4.4. Click on OK. Done. Close it. Okay. Once this is being done, now you are into your internal network. After that, first thing, go to manage, add roles and features. Click on next. Select the installation type. You can install the roles and the features on the running. So every kind of service, whether it's a domain services, whether it's a DNS services, whether it's certificate authority, any of the services, any of the things which you want to do the installation over in a Windows Server machine, you have to go into the manage, you have to add the roles and the feature. And whenever you want to remove any kind of features, you have to go into the remove roles and features. Okay. So these two are the primary clicks with respect to the Windows Server machines. Okay. Now, so role-based or a feature-based installation, configure a single server by adding different rules. So yeah, I'm gonna add different rules with respect to the Active Directory, with respect to the DNS, with respect to the NTP server. So I'll just click on next. Okay. This is my machine with which I also got a static IP which is being allocated over here. Select a server from the server pool. Yes, I'm gonna select a server. Okay. It has already found me a computer. Now, for the DNS setup, you need to click Active Directory Domain Services. Okay. The one you are having at the second option, you need to click this. For the certificate services, you have the first one. Then for the lightweight directory, basically your LDAP directory, you have the fourth service. You have the DS server. If you want to make your Windows server as a DHCP server, you can make this. Okay. DNS configuration, I'm not going to click right now because as soon as I'm going to do the installation of my Active Directory, automatically the configuration of the DNS will come into the picture where I need to set up. With the Active Directory, you have to configure the DNS. It's kind of a mandatory situation. Okay. Then you have the fax server, you have the Hyper-V, you have the different services. Okay. If you have a Windows server and you want to do an Hyper-V is basically nothing but a Microsoft hypervisor, which you need to install in order to do any kind of virtualization on top of that. Okay. Type 2 virtualization, like your VMware, like your Oracle VirtualBox, like your Microsoft Hyper-V. There are multiple virtual emulators which are present. Okay, so you can use that. For that, you need to turn the Hyper-V services, remote desktop services, remote access, web server. If you want to make your Windows Server 2016 as a web server, you can do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to choose the domain services. Adding the features that are required for the Active Directory domain services. Okay, add the features. Click on next. Then these are some of the mandatory things which will get installed as the AD and the DNS setup requires a .NET framework. So automatically these files will be installed, nothing to do in that. I don't want any kind of direct play plugins or input output quality of services or IIS host. These are some of the services which run on a selected server. Okay. So as of now, I don't require it. I'll directly go to the next and click on next. Active Directory domain services stores the information about the users, about the computers and the other devices on the network. AD DNS help the administration securely manage this information and facilitate the resource sharing and the collaboration between the users. Okay, so there will be multiple users which will be created under Active Directory. You can also set up the DNS so that all your PAN or the PSN nodes, all your ICE and the different VMs you can access directly through the DNS. You just have to resolve their host names, the A records. For that, your DNS will come into the picture. Okay. Click on next again and done. You need to click on install and the Active Directory services will be installed. This is how a procedure looks like for the installation. Okay. It will take a couple of minutes for the installation to be going on. And then once it's being done, we'll move ahead with the configuration of the DNS server. So the feature installation has been done based on the compute resources which you're gonna allocate to your machine, to your virtual machine. It's gonna take your own sweet time. So normally it takes around 2 to 3 minutes, not more than that, for the Active Directory to be installed. Okay. And now I'm gonna close it. As soon as you're gonna close it, you will see a yellow mark which is being given at the flag after the installation of the Active Directory. What this flag is, now let's click on that and it is showing me promote this server to a domain controller directly with the after the installation. Post the installation of the Active Directory, it is giving me the feature to set up the DNS as well. So it's a part of Active Directory. I don't require to again go into the manage to again create the services for the DNS and to go over it. I can directly go over from the post installation. Okay. So this is the configuration which you're gonna do with respect to the DNS. Now, so I'll click on promote the server to the domain controller, and I got certain features over there. Select the deployment operation, add a domain controller to the existing domain. I don't have any kind of existing domain. This is a completely brand new Windows Server installation, which I have done for the Active Directory. Add a new domain to the existing forest. So neither I have a forest, neither I have a new domain. So I'll first go to add a new forest. The root domain name I have, you can give it any. It's a local deployment, okay? If you want, you can give google.com as well, not a problem. So rather for just for the sake, as we are doing for the Cisco ICE installation, every product which we're gonna entertain is Cisco based. So I'll take the domain controller as cisco.com. This is my DNS, which gonna resolve with the IP of 192.168.38.150, which I have given initially. Okay. Now I'm gonna click on next. Okay. Till the time this bar is going, you see a blue bar above the screen. That means the process is going on. After that, it will ask me to enter the password. Okay. Now what this password for? DSRM password. It's the directory services restore mode. Like tomorrow you want to restore, or you want to revert, or you want to remove the DNS, the current DNS what you have, and in place of that you want to do a new installation of the DNS or the Active Directory. For that you need to remove the services. So when you remove the services by going into this manage option and going into remove roles and feature, and you remove your DNS, it will ask you for the authentication. At that time you need to put the password for the domain controller which you are putting right now. Okay, so just don't give any password. Try to give the password which you can remember, because it will be used if in future you are planning to remove the DNS and you want to set up a new DNS. Okay, so I'll give the password, any relevant password which you can accept it, and click on next. Okay, a delegation for the DNS server cannot be created because the authorized parent zone cannot be found. No problem, I'll go to next. I'll create a new zone after that. It's my duty. Okay, now it is verifying the BIOS name assigned to the domain and change if necessary. So it will create a net BIOS automatically as it has been created. Cisco. This Cisco you will see whenever you're gonna log in now to the virtual machine, you will see that this particular tag is being added as prior to the username which you're gonna use for the login. I'll click on next. Okay, I'll keep these things default. I'm not gonna change anything over there. Now, review your selections, configure the server as a first Active Directory domain controller in the new forest. The new domain name is cisco.com. Also, this is the name of the new forest as well. Okay. Then the NetBIOS name of the domain is Cisco. Forest functional level Windows Server 2016. Domain functional level Windows Server 2016, and yeah. Okay. So this is just a review which you need to do, and then click on next. It will go for certain prerequisites check which needs to be validated in order to do the installation of the DNS after the Active Directory. Okay, the certain prerequisite check will go. Let's wait for it, and yeah, done. After that, I'm gonna click on install. During the installation, post the installation, it will ask me that I need to sign in again, and it will take almost 5 to 10 minutes of its own sweet time to come back to the login screen. Your virtual machine gonna log out, gonna sign out, and it will sign in again. So I'm gonna click on install. Installation step will go, and then it will ask for the sign out, which is a mandatory part, needs to be done. Okay, because it gonna revamp all the services into the machine. It's gonna change certain new things for the DNS. Okay, so right now if you see under the tools, if I go, You see different option. You have DNS, you have the Active Directory users and computers as these are being installed. So whatever the configuration part you need to do for the Active Directory users and the DNS, that you can do from the tools. Coming back to it, let's wait for the installation to happen. Configuring the DNS server services on this particular computer. And now you can see that after the installation, it is showing that you are about to be signed out and you need to close it. Okay. So the Active Directory as well as the DNS configuration has been successfully done. Now it's gonna restart the machine again. It will take its own sweet time. It's gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes based on the compute resources which you have given. And after that, it will again appear with the login screen what you have. Okay. So applying the computer settings, it will have a process of 10 minutes. Once it is being configured, so now you can see the login screen. You just have to go to the virtual machine and you have to hit the button of sending the combination of Control Alt and Delete, and now you'll be able to log in into the machine. Okay. Once you're logged in, your server manager will come up. You can see. And now if you go into the tools, okay, so you'll see the Active Directory users and the computers which are there. Okay. Under the cisco.com, the computers, the users. So as of now you have to create multiple users. You can create it under the user section. Okay, so just like that, you can see there is an administrator. If you want to give certain access of this particular machine to different users, you can do it. You just need to create a user. You just need to give certain passwords for that. So let's suppose I'm gonna create a user over here. So my user will be Bob. Okay, there's no initial name I'm gonna take, or let's say we're gonna take one initial name as Marley. Okay, after that, bob@cisco.com will be his email ID. Going towards next, we're gonna set a password for the Bob. And once the password is being set up, you can see I'm gonna uncheck that user must change the password at the next login. I'm not gonna do that. I'm creating a new user. I'm changing then and there itself. I don't want it to change on to the next logon. Click on next and finish. And as you do that, your user will be created. So just like that, you can create multiple users out there. Okay. In order to give the different authentications and different users for the eyes. Okay. So if you have a big organization and you have multiple users, so you can set up this particular Active Directory, creating multiple users over there who are the employees to your company and gonna log in. For them, the authentication will work via the Active Directory. Okay. Similarly, once you can go over to the DNS as well. And when you see that for the forward lookup zone, you'll see the cisco.com which is being created. Under the cisco.com, there are one host record for this computer, which is the name, and this host is being resolving to the IP of 192.168.38.150, which I have given a static IP. So tomorrow, let's suppose I'm gonna create a new host. Okay, my new host will be ICE2. So in the next video, we'll see the deployment of the ICE. For that, your DNS will be required. ICE2.cisco.com I'm gonna give, and the IP address to which it's gonna resolve is probably, for now, I'm giving 38.111. So this particular IP will be going for the ICE. Add the host. I have added the host, and now it will be easy for me to open this ICE directly with the DNS rather than the IP address. This is what the DNS is for. Okay. Successfully in this video, we have seen the Active Directory and the DNS installation. In the next video will be short, in which we're gonna see the NTP installation as well. Okay. Till then, take care. See ya. Bye bye. Have a great day.